One of the great things about Google Docs Forms is that it populates the spreadsheet that's associated with it. And so basically once my form is live, anybody can enter data. Mainly I'll enter data about the assessment and then I'll hit submit. And when it does, it's going to populate my spreadsheet. And the way that I can access the spreadsheet is if I was at the editing my form, then I can see that this is where I entered my questions and the ones I entered the questions for. To see, if I go to see responses, after it's saved, I go to the spreadsheet, it'll pop up my spreadsheet. And so mainly that's the key that I want to do is I want to utilize all of the aspects of the Google Docs spreadsheets, which is similar to Excel, but the nice part is Google has access to my email and I can email later after I mail merge the document. So I'm going to utilize a JavaScript, and that'll be in an upcoming video and post about how to use the JavaScript to send a mail merge based on the email addresses that are given in my form collection, my form data collection. And so the main thing that I want to do is I want to make sure that I have enough information. So one of the big things is I like to rename my sheet. So this one was sheet 1, and then I renamed it to data collection. And then in my next sheet, what I want to do is I want to make sure that I have, and this is important, to rename, this isn't as important, rename an email template, but when I do the mail merge, in cell A1 on my second sheet, when I look from the left, is going to be where my JavaScript is going to look for the email template. So I need to make sure and remind myself that I'm going to put it in cell A1. So I could just say, put your email template here. And one of the major parts that's difficult about this mail merge is the JavaScript looks for the data in a specific format. And so we're going to make sure that we put it in that specific format. And so one of the last things that I want to do is I want to, based on these skill levels, which I was entering them in my rubric, well, when I was on my form, I was either entering G, A, or B. And so that way it's going to be quick for me to enter them. Now granted, I also could have used a drop-down list, so I could have created a form question that used a drop-down list or a choose from that would make that a little bit easier, where I only had to choose from G, A, or B. But we can talk about that in a later post. And so mainly, when I populate this, it's going to have either a G, an A, or a B in my skill. And when I send my email out, I want to have a more descriptive comment about what those skills mean, and based on the context of these skills that I'm looking at. And so what I'm going to do is I'm going to generate some comments in a comment sheet. And so that's mainly the one thing that I want to look for there, is in my comment sheet, I'm going to generate some different skills. So I have some different skills here. So let's say I did maybe an example of, I'm going to resize my column so we could see, maybe make it 300. And so if my skill number 1 was trapping the ball, I'm going to use soccer context. Skill number 2 might be passing the ball, and skill number 3, I just left it as a generic comment, so that way we can look at, you can enter whatever skill you would like. And so, actually, that was not the one that I needed to have a bigger comment. So I'm going to resize this to make it a little bit bigger. There. So now I could say, oh, well, good in skill 1 means trapping the ball effectively. And so I might come up with some different skills. The student does very well trapping the ball. He is effective at trapping the ball with different parts of his body and consistently keeps the ball under control. Now later on, what I'm going to do is I'm going to change, edit this skill comment to be, so I can change the gender specificity. So in case maybe I have a female who's going to be doing that, and I want my Google Docs to change that gender specificity, and we'll edit that at a future point in time. So once I have something that says good, and maybe an average is, he needs to improve on his passing skills, does well with his left foot but not his right, and some other aspects there. And the same with Johnny needs to improve on it. So in this one I put his name, and we'll see later on that I can actually change that name as well. So it'll mail merge to be specific about the name, and then the he or she, his or hers. So that's what I want to put in for those good, average, and bad for each of these different skills. So now once I have these skill comments, these are where I'm going to pull from for more specific comments about skill 1, skill 2, and skill 3. So if I would go back, so now once I enter those in, I can go back to my data collection, and I'm going to generate a little bit more specific skill on this page. And so I'm going to say, make a new header, and that's going to say comment for skill number 1. And then I'll do the same thing for skill number 2 and skill number 3. So comment for skill number 2, and comment for skill number 3. And so now what it's going to do is I want to, based on the information that my spreadsheet, that my form, the data that I enter there, it'll be collected, and then I want to change that.